So a few weeks ago, my grandfather showed me this old stained glass door that he had found at an antique shop, and he wanted a new frame built for it because the frame that was on it was in rough condition. It had some sort of joinery going on, but then they ended up, I guess, just giving up and putting these brackets on there. The wood was all warped and everything. It was all beat up. So he just wanted a brand new frame built. So I got everything laid out in the shop, and I got the glass propped up because it was really old. The solder was kind of starting to sag a little bit, so I wanted it to be kind of laying nice and flat when I started to pull everything apart. So I got that done. I started pulling all the brackets off, got everything pulled apart. And you can see here the joinery that they had going on. I found it odd that they took the time to do joinery, but then didn't take any time to actually do it well. But that's besides the point anyway. So then after that, I got measurements of the length and the width, and I cut pieces roughly to the right size, just so I was working with only what I needed to on the joiner when I was getting these things milled up. This project took me about a week, just in the evenings after work. The majority of the time was either milling up the lumber or sanding everything after it was all put together and glued and stuff. I am still very new to using the joiner and getting things milled up and getting things square, but I do think that this run was my most successful one. Everything came out about as good as it could have, at least, given my experience and with what I was happy with. The longer boards had a tiny bit of a curve to them, but almost completely not noticeable unless you're really looking for it. And as far as the actual thickness and everything goes, they came out to, I didn't have to shave anything off to get them more square. They came out exactly the dimensions that I was going for. I didn't have to sacrifice any or settle for going thinner because I screwed something up or anything. So that was a nice victory for me. That's probably the first time that's happened with me milling up lumber using the joiner and stuff. So I was very pleased with that. This took me a good bit. I started with all rough cut walnut. I got for free from an old boss of mine. You can see I started at the beginning of the joiner process. I started just kind of holding the long boards and trying to keep them level in anything. And after a while, I got tired of that and was having a little bit of trouble, so I ended up getting these roller stands out, and that ended up helping a lot. In hindsight, I should have done that to begin with. I don't know what I was thinking. And I'm still new to all this stuff, woodworking and everything. I've been doing it for a while, but as far as actually taking stuff seriously and trying to do a little more fine woodworking, definitely new to that. Like I said, I'm still new to the joiner and getting stuff milled up, and I'm still new to joinery and all that kind of stuff. So this was a fun project, but also a nice learning experience for doing just a pretty basic standard door frame. After I got everything planed and jointed, I took everything to the radial arm saw and got everything cut to a closer length that I was going to need. I think I had everything within an inch and a half of the actual length that I was going to need, just to give me a little bit of wiggle room. Then I took a scrap piece over to the table saw and got everything set up to cut the grooves for the glass pane in the center. And then once I had that, I ran it through once and then flipped it over and then ran it through the other side to give me about a 1/4 of an inch groove going down the center. And double checked that. And then once I had all that, then I cut all my other pieces, and you can see here I just ran every single piece, doing the exact same thing, ran it through once, then flipped it around, did it the other side. Then I took the pieces over to the radial arm saw. I took the regular blade off and put the dado stack on. This is only, I think, my second time using the dado stack, so I'm still not a pro at setting it up and just running it in general. So I think I did a pretty good job. But yeah, it's still just a new experience to me. What I did here was I got the dado stack set up. I took the ends of my rails and I ran the dado through. I started at a higher height and incrementally lowered it until I took just enough off to expose the groove, and so I was just left with the tenon right at the edge there. And then I did that on each side, top and bottom, and each side left and right of each style. So that way, I'm sorry, each rail. So that way I had a tenon on each side directly in the center, the exact width of the groove running down the center. You'll notice starting off, especially when I'm taking bigger chunks out, I do this little like inching motion where I kind of like go, I'll push back and then pull again. My radial arm saw, the motor on it is crazy small. It's an old Craftsman. It's just a piece of junk. It does not cut hardly through anything. Obviously, there's a walnut, so it's a little bit harder, but just it struggles with everything. It struggles with pine. It struggles with So you kind of have to like run it a little bit, give it a break, let it catch back up, and then run it again. And it takes a while to cut anything with that thing, but it's all I have at the moment. So after I got everything cut, I took them over to the pane of glass, and I got everything test fitted, and I was very pleased that all the pieces fit in relatively tightly. The only issue I had was on this one peg sticking out. I had just, I don't know, whatever. There was all kinds of weird gaps and stuff, so I had to mess with that and fill that. All the other pieces came out really clean, really nice, really tight. So that was the only one I really had to kind of like mess with to kind of get it to look good. Then I began the glue up process, which is always stressful for me. I feel like I always go into it like without much of a plan. See, I put way too much glue on there, but anyway. I feel like it's always just a crazy hectic thing when I'm trying to glue anything up, because I kind of have a plan and it always just falls apart, and then I end up scrambling trying to do stuff before the glue dries. I got the glue on the pieces, got everything put together, and then realized that the clamps that I had were not really the best for what I was trying to do. They're fine clamps to work with, but I didn't really have a way of keeping the boards all flat with each other. So I had to kind of like clamp it a little bit and then kind of like adjust things and make sure everything was flush, top and bottom, and straight and square, and then kind of tighten it again and readjust and keep doing that until eventually it was finally tight. Then I did the old sawdust trick, and I took some sawdust from cuts, and I rubbed it on all the gaps, all the seams and everything, just to make sure. Well, I had to fill that one gap, and then just all the other stuff, tiny little pinhole, whatever, just was there. I just filled all the gaps just to make sure that it was as clean looking as possible and as tight. And I didn't want to see any like little pinholes or anything like that. So once I did that, I waited about a day, came out the next day when the glue was dry, and took the clamps off. And so far, I've been very, very happy with this. Everything's more or less been going to plan, other than the glue up process. But I mean, overall, it came out all right. I think there was like one or two edges that were kind of peeking up that I had to sand down and smooth out, so everything was laying flush. So after I got the clamps off, I started the very long process of sanding everything. Both sides, front and back. I started with all of the joints where all the sawdust was glued on. Got that all sanded smooth, and then after all that was done, and at this point it was revealing the joinery, and I was really, really pleased with how everything was coming out. Just finally seeing like this is starting to look like a door. So after sanding for probably about 20 minutes, getting rid of all my mill marks and all that kind of stuff on both sides, then I blew everything off with the air compressor, tried to get everything out of all the nooks and crannies of the glass and all the corners and everything like that, whatever pockets there might be, both sides. Tried to get off my workbench and all that kind of stuff. Then I went around the edge of the glass with some masking tape just to kind of try and block off whatever finish might get on there, just to kind of save me some cleanup time. It ended up not really doing a whole lot in the end, but it is what it is. Here I just had some beeswax. That's kind of all I did for a finish, just something quick and easy. I'm still not the best at finishing, and I don't know all the stuff, nor do I have the biggest budget for some nicer finishes, but so far this is what I've been using on a lot of stuff, and it works really nice, at least in my opinion. I put on a relatively thick coat on everything, and then let it soak for a little bit, and came back and wiped everything off. And at this point, the color was really popping, the grain was really popping, everything was just coming out so nicely, and I was very happy to see it like finally coming together. I spent a good amount of time wiping everything off and getting everything buffed out and like polished to like a smooth finish. After I got all the majority of the wax off, I peeled up all of the tape, and then I continued to polish and buff everything, and then just slowly go back with a rag and buff everything, trying to get this finish as smooth as I possibly could, so you had this nice even sheen across the entire thing. And after about, I don't know, probably an hour and a half of doing this to both sides, then I was done. And after I was all done, I was very happy with how this came out. This is the first door that I've ever done, so hopefully doing more stuff like this in the future, but that's all I have for today, so thank you for watching.